reckless times, Clay. We are all doing impulsive things that we would never do otherwise.
I know.
I don't think you do.
I like it here. So do I.
It's unanimous.
Good. I know what unanimous means, even if I can't pronounce it too good.
It's the Al Travis Show. We love having Shannon Watson on the program. She is the head honcho at Majority in the Middle, majoritymiddle.com. And literally, as I was prepping, which people will argue I do, I'm watching the DNC convention thing here in Minneapolis, and I thought of you. I go, this is the perfect segment for what you do. I think we see both sides, and I was very excited to have you on. How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Okay.
It's another Tuesday in paradise.
Yeah, I mean, again, people it just what you're doing is so on top of everything that it shows the need for you. What I'm talking about is the DNC comes for their summer meeting. They have it in Minneapolis, which brings Martin back. He hasn't been back for a while. He gets all the guys together, the band, and they decided to start with John Hoffman, Senator Hoffman. God love that guy, friend of the program. Everybody loves the man.
So pleased to see him in person. I mean, he's been doing video. In person is just yay.
He looked like $1 million. I mean, for a guy who got shot 9 times, I mean, I don't know if I'm expecting much, but he looked like John. He acted like John. Yes. He had the mannerisms of John. So I'm a grown man. I'm not saying I cried, but a little tear might have welled up in my eye when you saw him.
Yep.
Absolutely. Then he gives his 10-minute speech, and again, John has always been good, so this isn't like it changed his whole lifestyle, but he hit it out of the park. I'm going to quote some of the Carol. He called on Democrats to restore public trust in politics, recognize the harms of conspiracy theories, dehumanization rhetoric, political radicalization. He literally knocked it out of the park. When he was done, it's like, Shannon, I presume you were yelling in your living room. I mean, it is what you wanted to hear, right? This is the Shannon Watson mission.
Well, I will say, this has been John Hoffman's mission for a very, very long time. He and I are right together on this stuff. When we first did the State of Bipartisanship report, his committee always scored really well. And that was the thing, the bromance that he and Senator Abler have had, handing the gavel back and forth for years and years and years. So this is, I mean, I love that it aligns with the mission of what I'm doing, just sort of in the moment. But this has been who John Hoffman has been for years and years and years and years and years.
So we make him the poster child for for your Majority in the Middle.
Right.
But then, and again, sorry, Amy, Senator Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar comes up, does her thing, and okay, I don't know that anything stuck out to me one way. That was like, Amy Klobuchar, you're sweet on Amy. She did a nice job. I'm nothing there.
I didn't see her. I didn't see her speech. I saw the entirety of Senator Hoffman's speech. I did not see Senator Klobuchar's speech, but I will say, of anybody who sort of embodies these principles, we have to remember, she chaired the inauguration, even when the
other guy won.
Opponent got elected, and so she has always been also sort of are you willing to stand next to somebody?
And that was not a rip on her. She did Amy Klobuchar as Amy does. So there was just nothing stood out. But then the governor comes on, Governor Walz. And again, no one seems to know, and maybe he doesn't, what's going to happen next. But now you're going to wait with bated breath. Is he going to announce here? What's he going to do? And it's like he did not hear John Hoffman at all. He started out fine. He started out saying literally that we're not over this in Minnesota. This isn't a news cycle for us. We're still in the midst of this. I'm like, all right, guy got it going on. Here we go. But at some point he couldn't help himself. And all of a sudden, Trump's the man child. He got fat ankles. He's swearing 3-4 different times. What does it take to be a dang Republican? You just got to wear a stupid hat. And then what would I have to say today if I'm a Republican? I don't. Just make sure it's really cruel. What do you listen to that guy for? He's a felon in the White. The guy goes off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, John. And It would have been cool, but it wouldn't have. John, get up and go slap one in the face. Tell him to stop. No, he's not going to do that. I get that, but that was in my head. But you get my point. The juxtaposition of the two guys. John Hoffman, right or wrong, again, he's always believed in it, is now kind of the face of this movement. Let's stop. Let's be nice. But the guy who is in charge, the governor of the state of Minnesota, wanted to be your vice president, isn't taking the high road. And I was mad. Not so much what he said, is just like, listen to John over there.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see the whole thing. I saw a clip. And I need to go back and watch the whole thing because, sometimes clips that are on the internet,
I saw the clip and then I went, I went and looked up the whole thing. He started out smooth, here we go. And I don't know if it's the room. Now, you'd speak a lot, and it's a room full of really Dems. I mean, they're the Dems of the Dems, and that's...
Yes.
But there are cameras on you. You know this is going viral. You know the world wants to know if you're going to run for governor. There's more behind this. They're not idiots.
Well, and, I was really disappointed in it because I believe that Governor Walz, his one Minnesota that he ran on in, 17 or 18?
Yeah.
I believe that's genuinely sort of who he is. And so he has an enormous sort of opportunity if he wants to wrap his arms around it. And he also cannot help, and this may just be, the governor being a human being like we all do. Like we all play to the room. Sometimes he can't help himself. When we struggle with our better angels, like that's sometimes what things we got to do.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah,
we have gone so far down this road. I try hard. I have I ever sworn on the radio? Maybe I have. You're the governor. You're in politics. He's a congressional candidate for 12 years. Governor for the last 8. He was a school teacher, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
When was it okay? When did we become okay to swear? I don't have virgin ears. This is not my point, but I'll bet you $100 Shannon Watson is not, without it being on purpose, sworn in a speech in front of anyone.
True.
But why? Now we're here. Now I get Trump does it. Everybody hates Trump. He's bad. Yeah. That's him. Well, now you're my governor. Would you not do better?
Here's the thing. I have never stood in front of a room and been rewarded for saying derogatory things about somebody else. And this is part of the challenge with our political culture right now, is that what is rewarded is what will continue.
That is such a great point. That's the thing. Like, if it's the audience that you're playing to, and then there is the question of, you're playing to the audience, you're, testing out things. And like one of the reasons that he wound up on the ticket, I think, was because he was good at delivering zingers on cable news. And Democrats want that, and they want the fight. I mean, Ken Martin has been out in front talking about how he wants the fight in a way that he and I disagree with, but that's okay. But that is the thing. Like, if it is rewarded, it will continue. See, then you're giving up. Is that what you're saying? Because how does this stop? It's the same on the MAGA side. The MAGA side, when they get Trump all fired up and he goes off for 3.5 hours, and that feeds that base, and that base cheers, and the base goes off, then it's not going to stop.
Right. The way I fight that is not rewarding it. Trying to not reward it. Trying to get people who, like in this situation, the speech I want to see on the news is John Hoffman's speech, not the governor's speech.
Thank you. Yeah,
like,
100%.
That's the thing. It is like when you say stuff, and it used to be like when people would lie and say, things that were patently untrue, like they wouldn't get
clapped.
Time. They wouldn't get airtime. Now, you do that. So
let's talk the difference then, because you meet with a lot of people. I get it. It's the Dems of the Dems in that room. This was hardcore. It's no different than the MAGA rally. I get this is who those were. But if your average Dem, your average Democrat friend, do they catch that difference? John Hoffman, let's be nice, and 2 speakers later we're talking about fat ankle guy. And do Democrats see it, or is it enough that's like, all right, maybe made me feel a little icky, but I like it.
That's a very good question. I don't know. I can't really speak for other people. And I do think like the sort of false equivalencies of, so and so Republican equals Donald Trump is not always the same thing. And I think when we sort of relegate our neighbor across the street with sort of the most extreme version of that party, and we say, oh, well, you're a member of this party, and so you're equated to this. Like, I don't necessarily know if that's helpful. And it's started to degrade our relationships in ways that I think is just driving us further and further apart.
See, I try to put myself in that. Again, I lean on the right side.
Yep.
When I look for people, I want to hear their thoughts on how we righties should think. I don't know if you ever remember Charles Krauthammer.
No.
He's a Fox News guy, was in a wheelchair for forever, but one of the smartest people that ever showed up on Fox. And I always looked him up and his thoughts because I'd never heard him say it. He actually grew up as a Democrat and then got paralyzed and somehow, I loved his responses. It's almost this Dave, and I'm going to forget this old guy that's on now on Fox. He's a political analyst. God, I wish it's not coming to me. But he comes on and he just says, "Here's my facts, ma'am." I've never heard him swear, never heard him try to say, if you're not MAGA, you're nothing, or none of that. And if they have something to back it up, I'm willing to listen. I don't listen to a lot of the Fox because, again, not to be associated with it, but they go over the top for me. I don't know what is on the other side for you all. I would have hoped the governor of Minnesota would represent us better. And I'm not saying that necessarily with my Republican hat on, but with my, you don't need to swear at me.
Human hat, yeah.
You don't have to, fat ankles. The side must have better things that we can grab onto. I believe there are more Democratic good ideas than, well, you've got fat ankles. It's just, God, we're at sixth grade gym class.
Yeah. Well, and I think he may have, and I don't know, he may have leaned into it because Gavin Newsom is leaning into it and doing the things in all.
Did you see the thing where Gavin Newsom is doing his impersonation of Donald Trump, where he's trying to talk like him and throw the stuff out, and it's a really big thing, and
like tweets in all caps, and
I laughed so hard at
America Gavin again.
Yeah. I found it funny. Good for him. Get a little run on it. He's the head of the news. But it's back to, you see them supposedly all coming out. We must swear a little bit, must show we are manly men. And it's like, stop. I don't need it. We got to go to break. We'll be back after this. I've got our Shannon Watson with the Majority in the middle.
Braver Angels Minnesota is part of a national movement that brings together conservatives, liberals, independents, and others to restore trust, respect, and goodwill in politics. We seek not to eliminate our differences, but rather deal with them head on, with respect and understanding. We do not try to change people's views, but how they view the other side. There will always be differences. Braver Angels Minnesota believes the best way forward is to change how we deal with those differences. Join the civil conversation at mn.braverangels.org.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with DustLock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
Man, I hate it when Shannon makes me think. Shannon wants a majority in the middle. So what do we do here? And here's the example we just used. John Hoffman knocks it out of the park, literally takes the majority in the middle handbook and spewed it out in beauty. And again, my opinion, the governor did not. He went another way. Yeah. You made a great point. This is what's stirring in my head because, again, looking from our side, we get the same results. He gets praised for it. He gets that feedback that he wants, so why would we expect something different? How do we interrupt that? I get it. I talked about it on this show. You and I talked about it. Maybe the governor will hear, well, that's Al Travis. What do we care what he thinks? It isn't big enough. How do we get to the circle of people that say, you know what? Might be a point here. We keep talking about taking the high ground. Let's do it one time, and then we can praise the living heck out of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is kind of what you're doing right here, is saying John did great. The governor didn't do great. And I do. So are you familiar with the term gentle parenting?
Gentle parenting? I would have no clue. No. Okay. Is this love and logic thing? My kids were growing up in the love and logic time, and I'm like, you got to be nuts.
I'm not entirely familiar with it, but a friend of mine said that I gentle parent legislators when I talk about like ignoring the stuff that they do that I would really prefer that they not do, and praising the heck out of the stuff, the behavior that I want.
Oh my! Can't we slap some hands at the stove once in a while and say, just stop?
Well, and that's an interesting choice. It worked. I imagine it works with kids. Like I grew up with a healthy fear of my parents. Like I got spankings.
Yeah.
I wasn't abused, but I got spankings. We can talk all day about that. But anyways, so I do think that holding up the conduct that we want to see and praising the heck out of it, particularly for people who have to live in an attention economy. And I will say, most of us kind of live in the attention economy right now, but elected officials, particularly if you're up for re-election or you're going for a different, they live in an attention economy, and they are going to do what they get rewarded for. And so if the speech about, with negative sort of things, if that gets 0 hits and, here's the way we want to act gets a lot of attention, then that's what they're going to do. And because that's not necessarily them being, it's not slapping their hands. It's them pulling their own hands away, that I'm not going to do this because it's not going to be to my benefit.
But I think the rest of us have to be pretty conscious of it. Like I say, I watched that, and again, not looking for bad, but it was such a stark reality that it hit me. I need to do the same for my side and watch when they're doing it and doing it correctly, and we have to be aware of it so we can act appropriately. I would imagine if it was on in the background, oh, fat ankles, that's funny. And you go on about your day, you let, his worst case is most folks are going to let it just slide.
Right.
And that's the problem. We need to be more in tune.
It's really hard to say, don't laugh at the funny stuff. And whether you think that particular example is funny is up for debate. But, we're all human. We have, we lean into our baser instinct like we do.
Yeah.
And so to your point, we have to be conscious of it. We have to know what we're doing, and then we have to be really deliberate about it. So some of the work that I do is really more about civic education than, creating rules or whatever. Because that's what we need. We need people to do it for themselves.
In the last 15 seconds, how does somebody join Majority in the Middle?
You go to majoritymiddle.org. Best thing to do is sign up for our newsletter list. Okay. I'm delinquent on sending out newsletters, so you won't get a whole lot of email from me.
Love that. Get to next week?
Absolutely.
Shannon Watson, majoritymiddle.org.